Welcome to Another Triathlon Podcast, the podcast that brings the electrifying world of triathlons right into your headphones. Journey into captivating conversations, share the excitement of race recaps, enjoy the humor only a triathlete would understand, and join us as we debunk myths and bring you the bare, thrilling truths of the triathlon world. So feel your heart pound, breathe in anticipation, and get ready to dive into the world of triathlon. This is Another Triathlon Podcast. Enjoy the ride.
We are back once again with Another Triathlon Podcast brought to you by Mauna Endurance. As always, I'm joined by Josh and Fede, and this is Jenna-Caer. I know we've been missing for the last couple of weeks here. A bit of intercontinental travel made the time zones of recording a little bit more challenging, but we are back. Fun, chat race results, and everything going on in the triathlon world. But let's jump right into it, catch up with the crew. How are things going with you, Fede? What have you been up to?
Yeah, hey guys, happy to see everyone and that we're already in the same continent, not two different time zones.
Right?
Yeah. Well, it's there's been a couple of good weeks for me now. Slowly loving this VO2 block that I'm training. Especially on the bike. Like VO2 work for me on the run comes fairly easy, and I can actually push really, really hard on the run. I'm naturally a runner, so that's all good. But on the bike, that upper and limit zones are just very challenging for me. And I'm doing a lot of like steady state type of efforts, a little bit over threshold, and then adding a few 1 minuters or like 45 seconds at like VO2 type of watts. And those are, I honestly, I thought I cried last session I did. But
the elevation makes those absolutely brutal.
Yeah. And I don't know what it is, but every time I finish one of these sessions, the super hard ones, I get very emotional. So maybe it's
release.
Maybe it's a low glycogen or something. But yeah.
There have definitely been times where I've wanted to cry with not enough carbs on board, so that is definitely a possibility.
Definitely, yeah. What about you guys? How's your life been so far?
What are you up to here, Josh?
So I've been the opposite of Fede. I'm kind of in like the low impact endurance build phase of my training and just kind of getting my zones reset and set back in and doing a lot of swimming, coming off the like back-to-back marathons and staying off the feet as much as possible. So I knew I had my 5K turkey trot this past weekend that I was going to full send and did well. Took 2 minutes off my time from last year, 2 minutes off the time previous. So I've knocked 4 minutes off my Thanksgiving turkey trots in 2 years. So if I do that again next year, we'll be sub 19. So that'll be good.
That is huge.
Really, really cool. So it was, I finished first in my age group, fifth overall. I mean, it's a local turkey trot, so take it for what it's worth, but it was fun. Came out of that healthy, and just been doing a lot of swimming, a lot of swim drill work, and like main sets are kind of the I guess, reward for a lot of the drill work I've been doing and just working on my stroke and getting the muscle memory down and a lot of strength training and a lot of strength training. So it's been a really cool transition into this phase and building into 2024 with Oceanside as kind of that first target race. But I'm getting a lot of FOMO with everyone on our team going to Indian Wells and everyone in the world going to Indian Wells this weekend.
Seems like it. Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to these emails stopping that we've been getting for the last couple of weeks on how many Black Fridays and Cyber Mondays and all of that, especially in the triathlon world with the things that we subscribe to.
Absolutely. Yeah. Seems like it's just a constant stream of endless emails of deals. And I love gadgets. So it's been hard to resist and I haven't entirely.
Yeah. I
Tip of the week, unsubscribe.
Yeah. There you go. Use this week to unsubscribe to as many newsletters as you can.
Realize how many you're actually subscribed to. Oh my goodness.
They are super sneaky. Like once you say allow the cookies or everything, Like, I don't know if you guys noticed, but every time you allow that, all of a sudden on Instagram, the first thing that
Mhm.
shows up is a thing you just allowed to. So, oh, crazy.
Sometimes it works though. So I
Mm,
mean, we had
mm.
like in the Mauna group chat, people will be sharing their discount codes and things like that. And Matt shared one on the On front, and Janine and I are big On fans, and she was like, I don't really need it, but and then today she's like, it keeps coming across my feed. I think I'm gonna get them.
I totally have some new on showing up on Friday because of that one.
Kind of hard to turn that one down, but it's but I would say the feed probably gets the win for the most emails I've gotten.
Oh, so I'm not
Right.
subscribed to those. I haven't gotten those. No, man. Yeah, definitely ready to be done with all of the Black Friday spam. It's constant morning, 20 emails deleted.
But Jenna's getting them from Phuket too,
Yeah.
since
Yeah.
she went over there had to go win another race and redeem herself from Kona.
Definitely had a good comeback there. Yeah, trying to readjust to real life again after being over in Thailand. That was so much fun. I love Thailand. It is just, I've visited there. This is my second time now. And it's got incredible training. The
Yeah.
people there are so friendly. Once you're over there, it's dirt cheap. In 6 days, I got 4 massages because it was
Wow.
like 16 Canadian for an hour massage. And I'm like, okay, well, there's just not to at this
You
point.
just got it. Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Yeah, it was so much fun. So I went over for the Laguna Phuket Triathlon. It's a race that a bunch of my old team members had done year after year forever. So this was a good opportunity to head up there and finally do it, especially now that they have a duathlon and I don't have to do that swim. That was honestly the one thing that holds me back because this swim, it's like I think it's an 1,800 meter swim with a 55K bike and a 12K run.
Mm.
So not my deal, but even worse, or if you're a swimmer, even better, is it's like 1,000 in the ocean, but then you come out of the ocean, run over this little dam thing into a freshwater lake that is super hot. And so you go from at least having the buoyancy of the ocean to just this lake where you feel like you sink and it's like bathwater in there. So I'm like, that part just doesn't sound like fun to me.
Yeah.
So went and did the duathlon instead. It was starting off with a 4K run, 55K bike, and a 12K run. And everyone was telling me there were some hills on the bike, which I knew going in. But I was lucky enough to go do some training over at Tanyapura with the Jürgen Zach crew. And then they also did a ride of the course on Thursday before the race, and the race was on Sunday. I'm like, it'd probably be good to get an idea. And 55K is not that far. Usually I wouldn't ride that long right before the race, but really good to get an idea of the roads and the terrain there. And those hills were so much worse than what I was expecting. I was like, oh, hills. I live in the mountains. That'll be fine. Right? The first hill you go up, I looked on Strava, it was 2.5 minutes at 18%.
Oh, wow.
An average of 18%.
Oh my God.
You had to find like the driest part of the road because if there was a little bit of sand, a little bit of water, your back tire is just like spinning and you could not stand up or else again, you're just spinning.
Yeah.
So we go up this first hill and like getting it's in the last like 10K of the ride too. So they save it for the very end. But I'm like, these hills were killing me. Go up that first hill is the one at 18%. After like cruising easy around the rest of the course. And I'm just like dying, questioning my life choices. Like, what is for? And that's the first hill. So there are definitely some other ones after that. So race day, I was worried because my heart rate was getting into like the 190s up these hills. The heat and the humidity, it felt like 36 degrees Celsius with the humidity there. So race day, it kind of, after checking out the course, it totally shifted what my race day plan was in there, just seeing how much the heat actually affected me in there. So race day went off and the first 4K run I was in the lead for most of it. And then one woman kind of pushed ahead. My heart rate was already into the 180s. So I'm like, okay, don't push, right? I'm like, I can't hold 180 for like 3 hours. This is probably not good. So let her get ahead in the first run. came into transitioned faster. So I came out of transition just like a second behind her. And then from the bike, kind of pushed it a little bit the first little while, figured kind of out of sight, out of mind, make some time there. Heart rate was not coming down whatsoever. So I'm like, ee. So I was definitely a little worried about those hills. So I took it easier than I would have otherwise, just because I was kind of scared about, like, the heart rate was already so high. Didn't know what to expect because the hills felt so hard in the couple days before. The cool thing was, though, I had a lead moto following me behind the whole time. My biggest fear is because I was behind the pros who came out of the water doing the full triathlon, but I was ahead of the age groupers that were doing the triathlon. It's just kind of in this no man's land, and I was worried about getting lost out there. But luckily, had a lead moto kind of behind me, just following along, kind of shouting out where to go. So I'm like, okay, perfect. At least I won't get lost at this point. But I got up to the hills, and honestly, it's funny. It didn't feel as bad race day as it did the couple days before. I think just a couple more days in the heat helped me out a lot and getting ready for it. And I probably underbiked what I could have done in there, but it was kind of, okay, I'm in the lead, take it easy. And then, lucky enough, got out on the run, and I had about a minute and a half. The girls were just coming into transition as I was going out there. So I was like, okay, just kind of strong, steady tempo effort out. Again, heart rate just sky high at this point. Okay, just cruise around. And luckily they had some out and backs and stuff. So I saw it halfway. I had like a 6-minute lead. So I'm like, okay, just cruise at this point. All you can do is screw it up. So just kind of was able to cruise it in, because I do not know if I could have pushed a ton in that heat. Had an average heart rate of 177 for 3 hours.
Wow.
That's hot.
That's
so
amazing.
That was my day.
That's with probably backing it off on the end of the run too.
Oh, I did like Ironman Watson pace for this thing. It's just crazy, the difference. But no, it was really fun. I cannot say enough good things about this race, though, for it being like a race in Asia out there. It was so well marked and communicated. The after party was this whole like party vibe and stuff at the stage. And like sometimes you'll get a few people at the award ceremony. The award ceremony was packed with this big banquet and tons of food and free beers. And it was just, it was a lot of fun out there. So if anyone wants to go halfway around the world, Laguna Phuket Drive was definitely a lot of fun.
You just got to make sure you have that ticket home, or you might end up staying.
Definitely, right? Oh, and so for the first time ever, I had bike issues getting my bike. So like almost 11 years of traveling with my bike in triathlon, I've never not had my bike show up where I showed up. And it's been both ways I had issues this time. Oh, come on.
The nightmare.
Right? And I just heard from my friend Lucy, it took like over a week to get her bike when it didn't show up when she came to Phuket. I was just like, oh no, don't do that. So I was like terrified from the start. But luckily, so coming down there, my second flight was delayed. But getting on the second flight, they were like, well, the flight is super full. If you want to check your carry-on bag, you can. It'll be at the other end. I'm like, great, never had a problem before. Have to wait for my bike anyways, so I'll just check my carry-on bag. And neither of them ended up making it. So I arrive at my hotel in Phuket with my backpack, which has a laptop and charging cables and my purse. And that's all. Had no clothes, no sense.
So here, let me interrupt here. Pro tip for our listeners: make sure on your carry-on you have your tri-suit, your wetsuit, everything you need to race, a couple of gels maybe, and if you're able to, your bike shoes, because the worst case scenario is you're gonna have to rent out a bike, maybe a road bike if they don't have any tri-bikes or any tri-specific gear, but at least you have your gear with you, because if nothing shows up, then you are in the hands of whatever race venue you get to. But I'm glad everything got sorted out and that you got to race and everything was perfect. But that make sure you do travel with something you can actually train and race, and plan for the worst.
And you know what the ironic part is? I had all of that in my carry-on bag.
Oh no.
It was so funny. So the next day I ended up, going over to Tanyapura, did the track workout in like my casual sneakers up there, borrowed some clothes.
Like in some regular
That's
K-Swiss.
Oh man. But yeah, luckily it made it back. And then, coming back to Calgary, same issue. It took like 3 days to get back to me after that one, but at least no race, no pressure. Had the air tag, so at least I knew where it was. But
Did you?
all the fun of travel.
Is it true that some airlines prohibit air tags? Is that a thing? Because I've heard that some people actually have complained that the airlines take out the air tags because they don't want you to track the bags. Is that actually a thing or just like a myth or something?
I've never had it on airlines, but actually one thing we're going to talk about later is Tribike Transport will take off air tags. But airlines have never had an issue with it, and I've done a fair bit of travel with it. Be curious. I guess it is technically a battery, and they don't like batteries. Check luggage. Be curious. So far, those have stayed on at least. That was definitely a saving grace, just knowing at least my bike was where it was supposed to be. And even calling the airlines afterwards, they're like, "Oh, well, I had transfer from one airline to another one, like a partner flight or whatever." They're like, "Oh, we can't find it in our system. We're not entirely sure it's in Vancouver." I'm like, it is in Vancouver. I can see it in Vancouver. So it was definitely nice when they were like, "We don't know where it is." I'm like, "Okay, I can tell you where it is. just go look for it." So definitely recommend an air tag if you are doing some traveling there. But enough about my racing. Definitely, it was an adventure. Happy to be home. Happy to get on to the next thing. But happy to be, back into my routine a little bit more here too.
That's quite the temperature change too. I don't know. I mean, I would imagine it's probably a little cold up there considering it's dipped below freezing here most mornings. I mean, what's it like up where you are now, Jen?
Actually, we're in a heat wave right now of like 2 degrees Celsius.
That's boiling.
Like 34. So it was an easier transition than I was expecting. 36 to 2 was not fun.
Trainer setup time season, that's for sure.
Yeah. And you know, it's so funny. Every time this time of year, I seem to want to revamp my training pain cave and actually spent the last 2 days tearing it apart and reorganizing everything and realizing that I really need to actually sell a bunch of stuff because I've got like 6 helmets and 3 sets of wheels, a bunch, like so much stuff that I have not used in forever. Like, okay, I need to get around to selling this. But I've said that for the last couple years. So if anyone's looking for anything in triathlon, just send me a DM because I probably have it somewhere down here.
Once these cyber deals are all over, Jenna's going to hit you with the even better deals.
There we go. I know, it's crazy how much of this stuff you just accumulate over the years. It's ridiculous. I've got a couple of helmets that I've worn once each time. And I'm like, why?
And as a newbie, it's trying to prioritize what you buy next and building that database up of the things that I need and want to upgrade. And do you want a direct drive trainer? Do you want, all these different things. And helmets, one of those next ones I want to upgrade too, because mine definitely needs to be upgraded or revised just because it might not be the safest as well. So those are the types of things that you want to look into. But yeah, I haven't got the sneaker problem. I'm getting close to you. The N+1 bike problem, I haven't gotten there yet.
You know, it took me 7 years in triathlon before I got a second bike. Like I always just had one triathlon bike. I'd never ridden a road bike. I'd never ridden anything but my tri bike. So, but once it hits you, that escalated quickly.
Gotta have all the things.
All the things. Well, let's roll into it. Talk about some people who have probably a few more triathlon things than even I do down in the pain cave. Not a ton of racing going on, but Fede, what's going on in the racing world?
Yeah. So, special mention actually on the week that we were like on the moon and Mars and Saturn and Pluto and all different planets. Hidden Wild race, and he actually won. Very, very strong race from him, and I think he's going to be forced to be reckoned with at Topo in December next year because, I think there's going to be a lot of pride for him racing in home soil, and I don't see anybody that has the run legs to compete with Hayden, and he knows Topo like the back of his hand. So, and that hard chip seal that Kiwis love that breaks everybody else's spirit because you go so slow on the bike because it's not smooth tarmac. I think that's going to play right into Hayden's cards, and maybe potentially he could win the thing next year. So
I would be surprised. He looks so dialed in on that TT bike too, which we don't often see on the I2 athletes making the jump over. He was in a great position.
Yeah. So also Martin Van Riel, he raced in Brazil, another one. I think those two, mark my words, those two are going to be on the podium next year. Hayden Wild and Martin Van Riel. Pretty sure that's going to be the 1-2.
Would not bet against you there.
But this weekend, last weekend, we had Sebastian Kienle's last Ironman race on his departure tour. And it was a bit of a shame because I think we're going to talk about this a little. The swim got canceled, and they had the athletes sitting there in the middle of the sun like for 2 hours. It was like a time trial start, and that just messed up the race dynamics. And it was a bit of a shame to see Sebi's last race to be a duathlon. Well, not even a duathlon, like a bike run. He finished fourth, respectively. Very good, showing the class of an athlete he is. I don't think he was training super hard on this discontinued tour. I think he was just keeping himself fit and ready to race. Fourth place for him. The victory was for the Frenchman Leon Chevalier. Second place, Chris Leiferman. And on third place from Poland, Robert Wilkowiecki. Yeah, Wilkowiecki.
You do better with the names than I do, so I'm going to go with that.
Yeah. Leon, he's a classic. He's a Uber biker, and I think nobody was going to beat him, even with the swim, because he also swims great. And with Cozumel's downstream swim, I think this would have been the winner nonetheless. Mm-hmm. And on the girls' side, we had Spain's Grutze Frades, who she's an unbelievably fast runner, 2:49.23. Talk about a fast marathon, eh? And second place from Germany, Svenja Toos, who she has been involved in in a few controversies regarding drafting and motorcycles and all that, but we're not going to get into that right now. And on third place from the Netherlands, we had Marleen Helen de Boer running up the podium. Non-eventful day. Only the swim that got canceled, but that's racing, and you have to sort of manage the cards you're dealt to and race whatever. I know some people complained that it was not a full Ironman, and I know where they're coming from. But yeah, everybody raced. Nobody was given a mile for free. But yeah, it was bittersweet, especially for Sebi, being his last race and not being able to watch him in a triathlon, just in a time trial bike run. It was a bit bittersweet for me. I don't know what you guys thought about that.
Yeah, it was too bad that it wasn't a full triathlon, but you know what? I think at the end of the day, he's been going around kind of doing some races he's wanted to do in some cool locations, and he is such a class act within triathlon, and the personality is definitely going to be missed of Sebi. He had some wicked quotes out there and just always had a good, just a fun guy, it seemed like, all around. So it's a shame that he's retiring, but kind of cool that he had this goodbye tour to go around, have some fun with it. And I'm sure he's not at peak fitness at this point, but he definitely left his mark on the sport in a very good way.
Yeah. Somebody who was very open with his training and very serious about anti-doping and just speaking his mind. We're going to miss him for sure. He was a great guy for the sport.
I agree. I think everyone had to deal with the same conditions on that day. So I'm sure Sebe's seen it all. And it's just another one of those, chalk this one up for something that I get to experience that maybe I haven't had to a lot. And he just rolled with it and got to the line like everyone else and did what he needed to do. So not the ideal finish, but at the same time, it was still cool to see him out there competing, which is amazing. Because as Jenna said, it's not like he's been training for an A race all year long, most likely. So really cool to see him go. We all know he's not going to be far from the sport. He's already like been at races and being interviewed and by Ironman at different races and things like that. So we'll see him around.
Absolutely. Well, let's jump in. There was not much racing this weekend, but there was a little bit here. Fede, what happened this weekend?
This weekend, we had a challenge race in Australia, Challenge Canberra, and smaller field, but nonetheless very, very solid race and a very dominant win from Danish Daniel Bækkegaard, 3:52.57 with a 1:14 bike split. On second place, we had Kurt McDonald, and on third place, Caleb Noble. But I want to get into the women's race because we had Els Visser. And I don't know if you guys remember earlier this year in Ironman New Zealand, she won the race, but she was wobbling after the finish line, and she had a little bit of a stomach emergency and projectile vomited. And she did it again this time. I think, that just goes to show how much it goes into the red zone. She was actually pushing herself because she was holding off incredible runner Fenella Langridge and an Uber biker, of course, and Rodka Kalfeld on third place. But that was a good thing to see. Well, not good, but impressive, and you can see the emotion and the pain that goes through this sort of racing that nobody gives an inch when it comes to racing.
Yeah, talking about going to your limit beyond.
I mean, that is the truth. I mean, we talked to Jackson earlier, right? When he was talking about just being able to hold it down, trying to hold off Lionel, I think. But he was able to, but had never really felt like that before. But Els has been through it before and still went to that level again, knowing what was probably coming. And that is, it's impressive. It's also like, how much did she know her lead was and things like that. So kudos to her for getting the W and still dealing with whatever was going on and how she was feeling, because she didn't back off.
Absolutely.
100%.
What else did we have going on the racing side?
Well, we had Ironman Arizona, but that was an age group only race. I don't think we had. Yeah, it was a very quiet weekend, I think, or maybe I'm missing out something.
No, it's just this time of year, everything slows down a bit after that championship season. Yeah, I think the only thing really came up with some big name stuff is like Indian Wells, and other than that, we're looking towards the new year. So we'll definitely be ramping up and reaching out to you guys for some listener questions so that we can dive into some of the fun, geeky parts of training and have some stuff to chat about. But let's move on then. Let's talk about our social media post of the week. Josh, what do you got for us?
I think we have decided to go with our buddy Joe Skipper and his post for a number of reasons. I chose this one. Obviously, Joe had the news recently where he was having a tough go health wise and was having to back out of the rest of the season and backing off and really trying to recoup and get his body healed and healthy and his mind right. And next thing you know, he posts that he's at a Hydrox event, which is kind of like everyone remembers the rise of CrossFit. Hydrox is this new up and coming CrossFit type of world where they go out and they run, I believe it's a 1 kilometer run followed by a functional workout station, whatever that may be, a sled pull, a kettlebell carry. But in between each of those workout stations, there's another 1 kilometer run. And they do that 8 times. So it's about an hour. And Joe showed up and he was in the pro field in London. It was the biggest Hydrox event of I think,
of course,
they've ever held. And he thought the sled push was going to be one of his worst events. And he ended up finishing 13th overall in the sled time.
Wow.
And, and we all believe that us triathletes are the most fit people in the world and things like that. Mr. Joe Skipper, Ironman champion, finished 234th overall.
Oh my God.
He said for specificity.
Yeah. Correct. The training program was not meant for Hydrox, but at the same time, I think a lot of the things that he said he would need to work on are like grip strength and things like that we don't necessarily need to hold on to a bike or to swim and to run. So definitely a lot of specific items that he's probably going to end up trying to go after at some point in his career,
I'm sure.
or when his triathlon career is over. So kudos to him for jumping in the pro field and getting after it and then reporting on it like he does. So we had a lot of social media world competitions going on this week. So I let Joe get back up top after Eric and Paul, I think, took the win over Lionel in the social media fan votes this last couple of weeks.
No, that was fun to see. Although I could totally see Joe trying to like become a crossover athlete and doing both. Like, just seems like he has that kind of mindset, which I don't think would serve him well, but it would be interesting to see him try. I don't know. But yeah, it's funny that grip strength and stuff like that. I run into that every year and always think I should work on that. Just when I get into some of the heavy lifting in the off season, my legs are fine. I just can't hold on to the bars because, like you said, there's no need to work on grip strength in triathlon traditionally because you're not hanging on to those aero bars that tight. And if you are, you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. So funny story regarding grip strength. My first ever Tribike, I forgot to put bar tape on the hoods, like on the where the brakes go. And I was doing this race. It was hot and humid. My hands were sweating so much. I went to grab the brakes, and my hands just slipped by, and I almost fell down. Like
Oh no!
So it's a miracle that I didn't fall over. But yeah, please make sure you have bar tape on your handlebars, because otherwise, if you're sweating, it's going to be a nasty crash.
Definitely a good idea. It's there for a reason, for sure.
Yeah.
Would you guys ever try jumping into one of these events?
So I almost did a Spartan this past fall, but it just didn't work out schedule-wise. But I have not done any of those like obstacle course races or any of that type of stuff. I mean, maybe at some point. But like you said, when you're triathlon training, it's hard to add that extra strength training. And we can see it. I mean, Joe is one of the top professional triathletes in the world and finished 234th. I mean, so that's crazy. But I think those events are really cool to actually test your fitness level if you were able to do some specific training during an in-between block or towards the end of your triathlon career, for sure.
Yeah, especially because triathlon is so repetitive in terms of motion. And those type of events give you a bit of a break when it comes to repetitive movement, and you are more dynamic. Maybe it's a good idea to do those during the off season to see where your muscle imbalances are. And a little plug here, and you can subscribe to one of Jenna's strength plans, because actually doing things that we don't usually do are the best tells to see where our weaknesses are. So yeah.
No, absolutely. And as you all know, I'm a huge fan of strength training. So always an advocate for it. And actually, thank you, Fede. I just actually launched some plans on Training Peaks. I'll put in the show notes there. So you don't have to subscribe to an app or anything anymore. You can just get the plan on Training Peaks and upload it right into your workouts there. So I'll put a link there because I think the off season is the time everyone should get into strength training. It is so good for body composition, hormonal health. I'm a huge fan of single-sided work just to find out where those imbalances are, and lateral movement because we're always moving forward in the same motion and we do not get that structural support from lateral movement. So small plug, but either way, whether you do my strength training program or any other one out there, just do some strength training this off season. I promise you your body will thank you for it later on.
And core. It all goes together.
Oh man. Yeah. The amount of times I see people on tri-bikes like wobbling along the course because they do not have the core strength to support the power they're putting out through the legs. I'm like, you would go so much faster if you were moving in a straight line if you could control the power going through and put it to the pedals. Like that's a much better place forward.
And it goes back to their training too, not knowing that they haven't been training using their core as much as they need to be and really activating all those muscles. Because if you're not doing the core training and the strength training on the side, you might not know how it's supposed to feel when you get on the bike and I'm using my legs and my calves and no, you got to activate it all. And that's a huge piece of that training and being an aero for a long periods of time while you're training as well, so that you're actually using the muscles you're going to be using on the road.
Yeah. Question for you guys. How heavy do you go on the heavy lift, say like squats, deadlifts, those type of heavy lifts? Because I know, I grew up playing team sports and we were always in the weight room in the off season. And it was just a big flex competition to see who could squat more and deadlift more and bench press more. But I know there's a trade-off for endurance athletes. We don't need that much muscle. We just need to be strong enough for our bodies not to break down, because obviously too much muscle is heavy and is not super important on race day. But I'm just curious to see how heavy do you go. For me, for example, I'm like 136, 140 pounds. So like 60, 63 kgs. And on the squats, I may go up to 100 kg, and that's where I stop. But I don't know. If I don't know, Jenna, is there a limit to how heavy you can go during the off season? I know it's a little counterintuitive and probably not very efficient to do a lot of heavy stuff during your race week or during a build for like Kona or something. But just curious to hear your thoughts on this.
Yeah, so when you're talking triathlon and strength training for a triathlon, I don't think you need to be going to your one rep max. Like that's just not something that you need here. Where I kind of guide athletes to, if they are doing something heavier lifting for a short period, is getting up to like 5x5 reps with 2 to 3 minutes between each lift. So kind of what you can do within that range, I think is more than enough. But that's a fairly short period of that heavier lifting. You don't need to go into 1 rep or 3 rep maxes for 1 or 2 sets. That's just more than we need. But once you set a little bit of that foundation with some of the heavier lifting going into that 5x5 kind of area, that's when I have athletes transition more to kind of single leg work and doing essentially the same thing, but on each side to try to work out any imbalances. And all of it with a lot of core strength around. So you definitely, I don't think you need to be afraid of going too heavy, because most triathletes do not have the time nor are they recovered enough to actually go too heavy if they're doing anything else at the same time. But yeah, aiming for that 5x5 during the heaviest phase of your training, I think, is ideal.
I think a lot of the stuff that as I've added the strength more so than ever before for this next season, a lot of the work has been start light or moderate and then progress. So like week 1 has been light and moderate weights, and then week 2 progress to maybe go up another 5 pounds or a couple kilos. So just adding to that is kind of, even if you're doing the same workouts over those 2 or 3 week periods, you can continue to change it up by adding weights and as you get stronger and go there. I don't think there's a room for me to go too high, and I don't need to. And I'm not trying to set any records like I used to in high school and college, like you said, Fede. Like, it was definitely a competition. I talk about it a lot too in this post that I do every Sunday now. Don't compare yourself to others, and really focus on competing against yourself and setting benchmarks. And strength training is one of those that's really easy to set benchmarks and then measure yourself each week as you get stronger and get into it, and really make sure if you're not using Jenna's program or have a coach to teach you how to do these things, take the time, be curious about what you're doing and why you're doing it, and look at the videos on how to the form. I think strength training is one of those ones where you have to have the correct form in order to get the most out of it.
Absolutely. No, it's definitely important to do well with it and take the time with the movements. It's not like triathlon. We're not trying to go fast here. It's more like swimming, trying to do it well with good form, and that'll definitely have the better lasting effects.
Absolutely.
Well, let's jump in here. Our What the F moment of the week, this is not something new, but there's a couple updates in here, and it has definitely set the triathlon world talking. We're going to dive into the Tribike Transport controversy, we'll say. It's been a little bit crazy. Now, if you guys don't know, Tribike Transport is a company. I've never actually used it myself, but what they do is you can deliver your bike fully built to a bike shop, and then they will send it off to Tribike Transport. Essentially, the benefit is you don't need to take your bike apart. No one is taking your bike apart. It's just being transported fully built to the race location so that it's there waiting for you race day, and you don't have to worry about any issues popping up in between with breaking down and building up. So definitely super accessible for athletes who maybe don't want to travel with a bike, don't want to take it on an airplane, don't want to mess around with it. The only downside was you'd have to wait a fair bit of time before and after the race just so that it can get down there, because they're driving, essentially in most cases, these bikes over to the race location. So super cool for people who don't want to mess with that side of the bike transport. Unfortunately, it appears that they have run out of money, which has left a number of bikes in limbo. So if you haven't heard what happened, Tribike Transport expanded their operations from just kind of doing it around the US to servicing some of the big races that were happening around the world, like Nice, Lottie, Finland with the 70.3 Worlds, Pontevedra with the World Triathlon Age Group Championships, and of course, they usually did Kona as well. Now, where the issue started is apparently they have some unpaid invoices with their shipper that was shipping these bikes overseas. Now, obviously, that takes a lot more cost and time than anything where they're driving them around the US, so they had to deal with another third-party shipper to get those overseas. And it looks like they owe that shipping company $320,000 for the 3 shipments to Lari, Nice, and Pontevedra. What that means is the shippers have decided that they're going to put a lien on the bikes that are left coming from Pontevedra for the WTCS Age Group World Championships, which is not good for those athletes. So these bikes right now are left in no man's land, which caused up a lot of conversations and stress and worry from athletes who are still waiting for their bikes to be returned from Kona, from Finland. But it looks like this is only affecting the bikes that were brought over from Pontevedra. Now, according to reports, Tribike Transport essentially ran out of money during the months of September and October around the Ironman World Championships. And what's happened since then is Ironman has actually stepped in and opened its checkbooks to fund operations for all Ironman races through Cozumel and Arizona. But after that, the funding is cut off. They are not going to be stepping forward. So if you do have any races coming up, if you're going to something like Indian Wells or any of the early season races, I would start looking into other options. Now, there was an update a few hours ago with an article through Slow Twitch, where essentially Tribike Transport is suing the freight forwarders. The shipping company is suing Tribike Transport, and then there's a class action lawsuit from the bike owners to Tribike Transport. So essentially a whole legal mess. And where the conversation is now is the shipping company is holding all these bikes from Pontevedra that Tribike Transport does not own. So the legal question is, can they put a lien on the property of a third party. So in some of their contracts, it says they can put a lien on Tribike Transport's properties, but these bikes aren't Tribike Transport's property. And that's where it gets a little bit more complicated on the actual legality of it. So unfortunately, these athletes with these bikes that they shipped over to the world champs, their bikes are sitting in California and they do not know next steps if they're going to get their bikes back or if their bikes are going to be sold off to appease the debt that Tribike Transport has with this shipping company. So all around a mess, but I feel for those athletes not knowing what's going to happen with your bike sitting there. Have you guys heard much about this or have any thoughts on it?
I mean, who's going to show up at the auction to buy one of these bikes?
Man.
And then we had a race with one of the athletes who you're riding that bike. And
see your bike show up, you're like, oh.
Oh, man. And they got it for like a tenth of the cost that you paid for it. And it's used. Yeah. And I mean, to me, this whole situation is just crazy. And we all don't know the full story and everything with all that. But I know with my one experience with Tribike Transport, it was great, but it was domestic. It was from Massachusetts to California and back, and it worked great. I didn't even have to go get my bike after the race. They picked it up in transition and took it from there too with the little extra service. So the only thing I was responsible for were my pedals, and that was. But it really sounds like things got messed up business-wise when they decided to go international, and now you're involving a new company that they didn't realize there were all of these fees, is what it sounds like, started to add up. And it was the customs fees and the transport fees internationally that they might not have accounted for. And that added up quickly. And now you've got USA Triathlon suing them and a lot of different people going after Tribike Transport and now after the shipping company. And too much for me to try and dig into, but it's definitely a mess. And I feel bad for the people who are without their bikes and not being able to know what to do. And people who, it sounds like domestically, if you've already booked, you're okay, but who knows when it comes to Florida and other races.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. I mean, a couple of years ago, this was in the local news. Obviously, it didn't hit the world triathlon news, but there was a shipment going from, I believe, Mexico City to Cozumel or some other race or Cabo, and somebody stole the shipment. And and because bikes here in Mexico, you can't buy insurance for bikes. The money got lost, and nobody was able to recuperate the money. So these things happen often, but this time Tribike Transport is a partner for Ironman, and it's just crazy to me to think that Ironman or Tribike Transport that they didn't know that they were gonna run out of money, and that they were actually, I don't know if they were lying to their customers or what happened there, but it seems to me that way, that they just wanted a quick buck and then see how things played out. And everything is just a big legal loophole when it comes to property, who's responsible for what. And actually now, kudos to Ironman for stepping in and actually trying to solve the issue. But I don't think Tribike Transport is gonna actually keep those customers that their bikes are now potentially gone.
Yeah, like I just don't understand how you overextend yourself $320,000 when your customers have already paid you. It's not like they're on a payment plan or that they're waiting for the money from their customers. They've already been paid, which should cover their costs, but I don't know if it was poor planning or surprise expenses in there, but it is just, tragic that it affects the athletes and the customers that trusted them to get their bikes over there. But personally, I can't. Now they're saying that they're going through a financial restructuring, but I can't see them surviving this. Like the trust, especially like these bikes, most people only have one bike. They're left completely without, or they've got a $20,000 bike where like homeowners insurance and stuff like that is not going to cover the cost of that. They're just out that. So I don't know, it's hard to see them recovering. I'm curious to see where it goes. I hope something gets worked out that those athletes get their bikes back, because beyond the financial, there's some sentiment with these bikes that you train hard, work hard on, and just, it'd be a shame to see this end in an auction and everyone losing out there.
Absolutely.
Craziness. Well, let's look towards the future. We will wrap up with a couple race predictions, and then stay tuned. We've got an interview with the Mauna Apparel founders where we're going to chat about kind of where Mauna all started and just the tech that goes into it. I had no idea how much goes into the selection of fabrics, the aerodynamics, the cooling, and how much testing they actually do on those. So stay tuned. But first, let's jump into some predictions. We've got, I think, about half the Mauna team going to Ironman Indian Wells 70.3. And there's a pro race going on here, too. So let's jump in. Some of the top names on the men's side. We've got Sam Long, Jackson Laundrie, Trevor Foley, Chris Lieberman, Matt McElroy, Ben Knute, Mark Dubrick, Dylan McGinn. Said that totally wrong. Casper Stornes, Jason Pohl, Matt Sharp, Justin Metzler. So definitely many more names from there too. And then on the women's side, we got Tamara Jewett, Jackie Herring, Leslie Smith, Erin Snellgrove, Amy Simerman, Katja Beard, Fiona Miardi, and a number of other names there as well. So let's start off. Fede, who do you think has it on the men's side in Indian Wells?
Okay, so I'm going to go underdog-ish, kind of take it with a grain of salt. I'm going to go with Casper Stornes, the Norwegian.
Okay.
He's been quiet lately and he has had a couple of setbacks in the short course, but he is an Uber biker and a very good swimmer. I think he's going to get away from everyone on the bike and then just take the win.
That'd be wicked to see. Okay, how about you, Josh? You got on the men's side?
Well, I think one thing we do know is it's going to be a frigid swim from everything that we're hearing.
Yeah.
So I'm going to go with somebody from up north and somebody we've picked before, but I'm going to go with Jackson. And, I know he's been doing some cold training as opposed to Jenna's heat training. Now it's cold training, ice bucket training, and cold plunge training, and see who can get through the swim. But again, it's a short portion of the contest, but I do think it will impact some people early on in the bike as well.
You know what? You picked my pick there. I was going to go with Jackson, but we'll switch around. Let's go with Sam Long. I know he's had not the best results since becoming a dad there, but maybe he is fired up and hungry for it, and hopefully has gotten a little bit more sleep over the last little while to come back and get after it. Those first few months are rough all around.
And I think he was traveling all over doing the world championship races, and it wasn't like a straight 70.3. So this might be his first 70.3 since becoming a father too. So I think the rest of them were all the WTS races and world championship races. So I almost went with Sam too. But once I saw Jackson in his training and the whole RTS squad getting cold.
We're going down there.
I'll miss you guys this weekend for sure, because it's a heck of a race. I definitely looked into adding it, but not going to fall in the cards this year, but for sure in the future.
Yeah, and we'll give a shout out here to one of our Mauna athletes, Jason Pohl, Canadian local here. It'd be great to see him have a good day as well. I know he's getting back after it after his Ironman. And then, okay, on the women's side, again, we got a few Canadians showing up here. We got Tamara Jewett, Jackie Herring, Leslie Smith, Erin Snellgrove. I was going to go with Tamara Jewett. Just that run she has is so crazy, insane fast. If she can stay warm through the swim would be the concern. And have a good run. Could definitely see her taking it. How about you, Josh? Who you got for the women's side?
I mean, you kind of took my pick there too.
Everybody wants it.
I think we can go across the table on Tamara Jewett on this one. Who else did you say was in this field? Because I thought there were some others that were missing, but maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, we got Jackie Herring, Leslie Smith, Erin Snellgrove, Amy Simerman, Katja Beard, Fiona Moriarty. It's kind of the
I'll
name.
go. You know what? I think Jackie Heron's in good shape too, coming out of Cabo and racing recently. So we know she's fit, and she had a good race down there in the heat. So I'll go with Jackie.
Excellent. How about you, Betty?
Well, I'm gonna go also underdog. I'm gonna go with Leslie Smith. Two underdogs for me this weekend.
Love it. Yeah, it'll be fun to see how that all comes out. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be making it down to Indian Wells next weekend. Just some family health issues. So I'm going to be staying where I am here. But it'll be fun to cheer on the team virtually and see the whole team over there and crushing it.
For sure. The phones are going to get their work on the Ironman app this weekend.
Definitely. Oh, man, there's going to be so many notifications all day.
It's going to be crazy.
Like
Cyber week is not over.
Yeah, right. Stay tuned. We're going to have the interview here just in a moment. As we mentioned, we are here with the founders of Mauna Apparel. We've got Gonzalo and Philip joining me here, and we're going to chat a little bit about Mauna Apparel and all of the exciting things that we have going on there. If you guys are a part of the team, you definitely know how incredible these triathlon kits and the cycling kits are, but I thought I'd bring these guys on to chat a little bit about what goes into the development, the testing, and what they actually do to make sure that you have the fastest and best apparel out there. So we will start by saying hey to you guys. Philip, how's it going? How are you doing?
Good, and you, Jenna? Pretty good. Excited for next week. I guess I'll be seeing you in Indian Wells.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got a bunch of the team going out there. We'll see the Mauna Apparel kits all over the race course in Indian Wells, which will be exciting. It's always a little boost when you see teammates out there in the Mauna kit.
100%. And I hear Gonzalo sending some special stuff that maybe we'll be revealing next week. So pretty excited about that.
Maybe. Absolutely. Fair enough. We'll keep our fingers crossed then. And then we'll say hi to you, Gonzalo. How are you doing? How's your day going?
Good. Just post Thanksgiving, like it happens with a lot of people. So yeah, just figuring out the next steps, working a little bit with our manufacturers all over the world at night, and then yeah, on to the next project.
Exciting. Well, why don't we start chatting about kind of how this all came to be? Actually, I don't know this origin story myself, but how did the two of you connect? And can you tell me a little bit about the story of how Mauna Apparel and Mauna Endurance started?
Yeah, I mean, so I know Philip from childhood, really, since we were about 10 years old, so quite some time now.
Very good.
And we met when we were in elementary school, and basically we've always been friends since then. We kept in touch. Everyone kind of got into their sports and hobbies and manias throughout time, and we grew up in a way hanging a lot with Philip's parents, or dad particularly, and he was a big cycling person. Philip used to go to Europe all the time and cycle with them in the summer. So we were somewhat connected to the endurance kind of sport in a way through Philip's father, but that didn't come into fruition until much later, where Mauna was basically founded, and it was a little bit more focused towards triathlon. But that's a little bit of the childhood story. Phil, I don't know if I'm missing anything. Perhaps the moment when you got into triathlon fully and kind of started giving shape to this.
Yeah, I mean, I started doing triathlon probably around actually 2015, and it was 2017 when I qualified for my first 70.3 World Championship. I was living in London at the time, working in the financial industry, and I told Gonzalo, like, hey man, like this is gonna go down in Chattanooga in the States, like why don't we meet up? And I think this guy had never been in a triathlon or had no idea what it was, so it was a quick flight compared to crossing the whole Atlantic. So we met up there, and I guess that was the first time you actually saw a race, right?
Yeah, that was the first time.
You're probably thinking, what are all these crazy people in Lycra doing?
I think he still thinks that. But I think
it was
that was
just
the first
so
time
different.
Huh?
So different because it's, at that time I was just starting to learn everything and kind of like, people would say, oh, he's in T1. And I'm like, what is T1? Kind of what's going on here. So, yeah.
So yeah, I feel that was the first time, he really got introduced to something related to triathlon. And probably about a year and a half later after that, I decided to move to the US and start, a new venture. I used to work in the financial industry. And I told Gonzalo, like, why don't we start a business, not necessarily related to triathlon, but after Kona 2019, we were in conversations with some pretty top level pros about potentially starting a coaching business with them. It didn't end up working out. And that's when we decided to start Mauna Endurance Coaching, which was the first, that's when we originally started, or how is that's when we really started this business. It started as a coaching business in basically January 2020 before the pandemic.
Good timing to try to launch something like that. But the cool thing about these days in Mauna Endurance is that you can have a global team that has a lot of opportunity to connect virtually. Unfortunately, you wouldn't have gotten much time to meet people in person, but it's kind of nice that there was that outlet for people to connect that way with you guys launching it right before then.
Totally. And like you said, it was very challenging. And we were like, we thought the same thing, like, what are we going to do now? We just launched this, training platform, that basically won't be able to work because people are locked down. But it was an opportunity in some way or another because people were wanting to, do sports, keep themselves active and basically, for mental health reasons, for physical reasons, just connect with other people in platforms like Zwift. And obviously having a global platform was a way to enable this. And it was actually, it went very well that first semester and especially the second one. That's when we actually launched our team. And it was a great first year. So sometimes, things happen for a reason.
No, that's just it. Go with the opportunities, pivot, find a way to make it work. And it definitely sounds like you did that. And that's something that probably serves you well in Ironman too. You never know quite what to expect out there.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Well, that's very cool to hear. So when did the apparel side come into it? Because there are a ton of triathlon teams out there, coaching teams, but not many have actually started to venture into making apparel for their teams and actually owning that part of the process. Where did that idea come up?
That kind of started more as a user pain, I'd say.
Okay.
So, when we had all these athletes, we were just like, hey, let's get them suited up. Let's get them some nice gear, and kind of keep an image consistent and so on. And, we did this process with about 2 or 3 different companies. And there's always something, right? It's like, oh, you can't do this, or you can do this, or it has to be black, or this. And then throughout time, Philip and I were like, this is just so, it's so limited. Like we don't understand why this whole industry works like in a way where like you're totally regulated in the kits that you could do. So we got into it basically because we felt that it was an underserved market, but not from a perspective of like, oh no, we can make a lot of money, but from a perspective like there's an opportunity to make a much better product and much better service and kind of start from that angle. So we started developing our own clothes and, we went through a year of testing. We went through, quite a lot of intense experiences basically and understanding how this whole method and manufacturing works. And eventually we started producing really good garments. And we just kept going since then. And it's been a very kind of consistent loop of getting feedback from athletes, but it kind of started that way.
And I'm sure you can speak to this, Philip. The team having so many, now professional athletes on board and high-level age group athletes, that quality aspect of it, I know is something that you were probably fairly concerned with racing yourself at a high level. So is that a big focus when you guys kind of got into the apparel, just getting something that looked good, but actually performed at a top level and just didn't look pretty?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I have been wearing a bunch of brands in the industry ever since I started doing triathlon. And when we looked into doing something like this, quality and, performance and technology was definitely one of the key pillars. But like Gonzalo was mentioning, there's a few other, I saw this as an opportunity. Basically, after hitting ourselves with our head against a wall quite a few times, working with different manufacturers to cater our own team, I told Gonzalo, like, why don't we start our own business? Like, how hard can this be? And actually, like, it is pretty hard. There's a lot of hard work that, you don't really see when you're not involved. But of course, at that point, I was like, man, why don't we do our own thing? Like, it's just, it doesn't make sense that all these manufacturers are giving us, problems for quantities, for designs, for, limitations on designs, limitations on everything. The price was insane. The timing was incorrect. So after talking, we were working with this certain manufacturer, I think it was like 3 years ago. And we got into this huge discussion because he wasn't meeting our needs. And that's when I told him, like, you know what, we need to start our own thing. And that's when we started, just testing a bunch of brands, like basically doing a huge market research. We ordered pretty much every top of the line tri-suit out there, everything, cycling kits, basically everything out there in the industry. We did our own testing with all that stuff. And then little by little started, manufacturing our own pieces, trying out, internally within our management team with a few key top 8 troopers within our team, with a few pro athletes, until we got to a product that we thought was basically, a good product. And that's when we really started trying it out within the team. So I think it was, 2021 that we launched it for our team, Gonzalo?
Yeah, 2021.
Yeah, 2021. And after, we had good feedback from the team. Basically, they were happy with it. People of all different levels, right? People that are fighting the cutoff, people that are, trying to get that top, podium or overall win, and getting all sorts of feedback. That's when we said, okay, we definitely have a good product. Like, how do we make it better from here?
That's fantastic. Yeah, I've been involved a bit in that process as well, just trying to testing out some of the new kits and the fits. And you guys have definitely been very in depth, especially Gonzalo. You just kind of asking questions: what works, what doesn't work, what needs to be changed, what makes it more comfortable. How do you kind of go through that process when, say, you do send out a new type of kit or a new fabric? What does that process look like, testing it out with different age groupers and different athletes to get that feedback?
Yeah, so just to kind of give you a little bit of the broader funnel is we work with about 400 different types of fabrics.
Wow.
Right? Or that's the options or what we can get essentially. And we've gone through all of those one by one, touch, feel, see how it prints, etc. And eventually you arrive to about, and those 30 are basically what we consider top performers in different areas, right? And those areas are mostly focused on either the performance or the comfort of the athletes. So we have everything that has to do with aerodynamics. So the tighter the fabrics are, the better. We have everything regarding to do with how breathable it is. In other words, like how much heat can escape the body and not be basically trapped in what you're wearing. And then everything that has to do with comfort and performance in terms of like, well, how comfortable am I in terms of moving my arms? How comfortable am I in terms of moving my legs? And so on, right? So that's kind of created a consistent feedback loop with all of our athletes. But essentially how we start is there's a concept, or there's, let's say, a set of mix of fabrics that we want to try out. Then that gets brought out to usually 2 athletes at the beginning, 2 to 3 athletes at the beginning. We get initial feedback from that, and then we make any improvements that we need to. And then from that point, it goes to 10 athletes. And then after we do anywhere between 5 to 10 athlete testing, then that goes out to everything that we sell to the public. And once the public gets it, we have about, I don't know, 300 athletes, let's say, wearing our things. And our inbox is open to that. So there's a lot of athletes that actually message me and say, hey, this other brand has a really good chamois, or this other brand does this really well. And we've kind of managed to learn from that, improve from that, filter feedback, know what athletes are having issues, know what athletes are not having issues, and so on. So it's a constant work in progress. There's no perfect piece. And, the longer we go, the more different the tri-suits get. So, before it was about being minimally dressed. Now it's about dressing according to the distance, right? So Olympic is a completely different type of tri-suit in fabrics and cuts and everything than to anything you'd like to race Kona in.
Yeah.
And that's going to continue happening.
No, that's really great to hear. Just that you are working with athletes of different ability levels, not just focusing on the top tier, like talking to age groupers, talking to a wide range of athletes and making sure that it is good for all types of people in all different body shapes, which I really appreciate. Because, the top pro trying to win an Ironman, like we've got Luciano on there, he has slightly different needs and feels for some of these materials than, the average age group are just trying to make the cutoff. So it's cool to see that you guys do go that in depth.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much why we started the business, right? That was a big opportunity. And today we still feel very strongly about, giving anyone the same type of quality product we give a pro level athlete. So, what Luciano wears is what anyone can buy on our website, and it's not sacrificing performance in any way, fabrics in any way. It's exactly the same thing, and I think that's something that it's worth the time, and that's how we gain trust from all athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Philip, I know you're quite involved in the marketing and stuff too. What would you say kind of the inspiration for the designs of these kits are? Like, how would you describe the look of Mauna Apparel?
Well, I'm definitely not the person involved in the design team. But yeah, I do actually. Gonzalo's a little bit more involved than I am with the design team, but I run pretty much, I check the final collections or, stuff like that. I definitely don't get involved in any of the pros designing or custom pieces, because that's, basically the design team plus, whoever is wanting to bring, some ideas to life. So, let's say a person that wants to create a custom kit, throws in all this inspiration and ideas, and then, our design team kind of brings it to life, right? But I don't know, we like to, you've seen the designs, you've participated as well, and we like to keep it clean, pretty clean, sober, a lot of outdoor inspired, aesthetics. Like we like to inspire ourselves a lot, with nature. So like if you see, we have a pretty unique thing going on with our trucker and, performance hats that basically we have different photos of landscapes that are all like nature related. And all these photos have actually been photographed by Guille, who's our director of our media business. So it's a pretty unique trade that I think a lot of people think is really cool. And most of the collections are also pretty much outdoor inspired. The last one was inspired in Finland. So basically that's where the the 70.3 World Championship went down this year. Next year, the inspiration is a little bit in New Zealand, which is where the 70.3 World Championship is going down next year. So it's a lot of outdoor landscape inspired kind of inspiration for the collections.
Yeah, I love the designs of them. They're definitely very, classic and really nice designs. And you mentioned actually about the custom designs now, and I know that's something that's recently been launched. What was kind of the motivation behind doing that? And tell me a little bit more about how that custom design, one-off design works.
Gonzalo, do you want to walk her through the whole experience?
Yeah, sure. I mean, it started It started again from the same concept that we wanted to give someone really good quality at at the retail level, and a lot of what was happening was that people were getting really let's say attached to their tri suits that we were giving out to the team, and they said, hey, can I do a custom one to my size, or can I put my names? Hey, I have another sponsor. So they started asking for customization, and between that and the pros coming to us and kind of putting out there some designs and some different graphics, we eventually got to the realization that it was totally worth it to do a custom program, not just because of the fact that someone gets to design whatever they want, but also we get into a little bit of depth of where are you racing? What is the objective that you want to achieve in your racing or your calendar year, that we can figure out together, and how to make the best piece work for you. How do you carry your nutrition on your bike? Because that affects where we put the pockets on the tri-suit. So everything that has to do with someone going that little bit of the extra step in imagining something that they want to build, and focusing something that is functional to them during race day, and even if it's focused on whatever race they want to be in, that really drives the whole program. And we can change the fabrics, we can change the sizing, we can change the colors. So the options are not just like most other companies where they say, hey, here you go, here you can design something, or you can choose from this fabric or this fabric. It's a lot wider than that, and a lot of people are actually liking it a lot. And they're turning big fans of that.
Well, I'm slightly biased because I got a custom kit done up, and it was a design I've had in my head forever. So it was so fun to actually finally see it come to fruition and be able to, have a kit that was exactly my own style and have some fun with it.
Yeah, and as you can see you've tried a couple of different tri-suits that we've had and so on, but as you can see, they're almost for like different situations, right? Like the last white one we made for you, Jenna, that one's the perfect tri-suit for Kona, in my opinion, because of just how good it breathes, and how everyone tells me like it feels like my skin is cool a lot of the time when it comes to their torso. So that's something we do that. Now, the black one that you have, I'd say it's more for a less hot race, but it's still a race where you want to do some good gains on the bike, right? Because it has some wind tunnel testing, that fabric. So
absolutely,
it's a lot of give and take.
Yeah, definitely. Now, that's something that you guys have kind of mentioned a few times, is the aerodynamics of the material and the testing that you do to make sure it goes fast. And I know that's especially of concern when you're talking about more pro athletes wearing Mauna endurance kits. I'm sure they want down to the very last watt they can get when it comes to racing and performance. So what are you guys doing from that aspect? Just how do you go about making sure that these kits or these fabrics are aerodynamic?
So there's different levels to it. The first level is that today the manufacturing of textiles has gotten so advanced that the manufacturers of the textiles themselves do testing to these.
Okay.
And that's kind of the phase one. And this is going to continue happening with performance fabrics. Performance fabrics are going into all types of fashion. So, the pants I wear to work are Lululemons, right? And they're great. It looks like a khaki pant from Always, but the technology in that fabric is 10 times superior. So it's so much more comfortable, and it looks the same as any other pant I wore a year ago. But the conditions of this whole market are changing to the point where the testing is starting to be done from the manufacturers of the materials, because they want to sell a much more finished product, right? And then that's the first part. So that's really a guiding principle for us when we sell to retail. We say, hey, we want fabrics that have been aero tested, or that are woven, that we know work better in the bike. And then when we get to athletes, it becomes a lot more dialed in, right? Because it depends on their bike, where they carry their nutrition, their position, Also, you tinker with the helmet, you tinker with all the elements that happen on the bike. So when it comes to just a generic, let's say, point of view, is we try and get fabrics that are tested in tunnels before we even get them, or directly from manufacturer. And then everything that's with pros, it's about going out and testing, right? So some Mauna suits have had testing on the velodrome already, compared to other brands. We perform better than a few. We were below 1 or 2. So that's the type of feedback we get that's more athlete independent. And then comes everything that's real life scenario testing, right? Which is, yes, you're going to be on the bike, you need to be aero, but you're going to need to come down and run. So are you going to be in a tri-suit that is aero and also allows your body to breathe properly and dissipate the heat so that you can finish the run strong? So it's gotten into more of a finishing the swim to end of the run testing in the last 1 or 2 years in the industry.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Just like triathlon, we're not swimmers, bikers, and runners. We're triathletes. So it has to go all the way along the race and have optimal.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. And one thing, I know we're going to be having a lot of teammates out there playing around in the Mauna kit. We've got a camp coming up here in the new year. So if anyone wants to check that out, definitely head over to maunaendurance.com. It's going to be so much fun over in Costa Rica, and you'll be able to actually, get to see all of the different cycling and training and triathlon kits. Everyone comes out there decked out, and it's always a lot of fun.
Yeah, and actually this year, as you know, Jenna, we're going to be, this is the first time we actually include a cycling kit within the whole program or bundle, which is pretty cool actually, because if you compare to, other camps, ours is a lot cheaper in a much better destination than where most camps take place. And, it's an all-inclusive. We also have the cycling kit included, photography, massage. So it's a pretty good deal. And, you can get a taste of what, the apparel, is.
Yeah, that's awesome. Getting a whole cycling kit included is absolutely wicked. Definitely one of the perks, but just the beginning of the fun on camp there. But is there anything else that you guys wanted to, mention about the apparel line or kind of what goes into it?
Yeah, well, I think this is just a start. We've been, we started 1.5 years ago. Gonzalo is putting a lot of efforts in the research and development of the apparel, and there's big things coming for next year, and we're really happy how things are going in terms of not only the product that we have achieved to create, but also the pros that are trusting us and the feedback they're giving us, and also all the pros that will be joining us for next year. We think next year is obviously going to be a good year for us in terms of how we keep developing all these garments. And also some new stuff. We're also going to be launching our running collection next year. So, and a lot more additional, winter stuff and a lot more products to our offering. So we're pretty excited about everything that's coming up, and all the different technology that we're going to be applying into all these products that we're going to be launching.
That is very exciting to hear. Yeah, and everyone stay tuned. We're going to have some new announcements in the new year about some pros that will be joining the team, which will be wicked. Well, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time and just coming on to tell us a little bit about the origin story and Mauna Apparel. Definitely, if anyone's interested, we'll put the links in the show notes there so you can go take a look for yourself and go check it out. But other than that, have a fantastic evening, guys. It was so great to chat.
Thanks, Jenna.
Awesome, Jenna. Thank you so much.